So budget amendments are here. As we have every year, we have amendments to our general fund as well as our special revenue fund. We received some slides, if you weren't at the finance meeting from Mrs. Davis, that helped to break this down a little more and give some more detail. You recall we adopted our budget last June that had right around $130 million, both revenue and expenditure, fairly balanced, about estimated $600,000 heavier on the spend side. So dipping into our fund balance just a little bit projected. As is always the case in June, there's a lot that we don't know about our actual budget at that point. The state budget's not approved. And there were a few other caveats as well. Our education groups, associations were still negotiating at that point. So we anticipated increased costs from that, but we had no idea what those were. So those weren't in the budget that we adopted in June. So ultimately, we assumed in June that what we adopted, we may end up needing to dip into our fund balance a little bit more than on paper, what was shown. And the short story for the amendment is that we have seen these increased costs, but they've been somewhat and largely offset this year by additional revenue that we also did not anticipate. So when the state budget was finalized, not only was there more student aid fund money for people, a foundation allowance, that we did plan on, but there was additional ongoing funding in the most recent budget. There was also some additional one-time funding, and there's many line items on the sheet. I'm not going to go through all of them. There was a $450,000 one-time enrollment stabilization payment out of the budget that went to all public schools. We earned a lot more interest income than what we had planned on, so that yielded an extra $750,000. And then you'll see many items on the spreadsheet that are equivalent on expenditures and revenue that are essentially pass-through items that are MIPSers related or other grants that the money comes to us and we spend it all in the same year, so it doesn't affect the balance, but you see those reflected there in the amendment. So the end result, the new projected revenue of roughly $135.7 million and expenditures of about $136.3 million, a new gap of about $570,000, which was pretty close, or a little bit less than what we actually anticipated in June. So a lot has happened to yield us kind of the same end result that we predicted when we adopted the budget originally in June. A moment about the special revenue fund. As you saw there, that comprises our child care, food service, and student activity fund. The only real notable adjustment there is in the food service fund, because we projected to not receive funding for free breakfast and lunch. That was not officially in the budget at that point. And as we know, we are receiving money for that. So instead of $124,000 received, it's $3.3 million received from the state. So that's, you'll see the major difference and the major variance in that whole special revenue fund comes out of that. And instead of dipping into our food service balance a little bit, we have added to it. So we will be approaching that ceiling again where we have to spend that fund down, and they're working on how to do that right now. So the overall takeaway of this amendment, in my terms, I suppose, is that in a fiscal year where we anticipated we would probably have to run a bigger deficit than what we had adopted originally, we'll ultimately end up sort of equaling out with some of this additional revenue that we took in. Our long-term look is largely unchanged. This is helpful, but we still have things like an overall structural deficit. We have ESSER dollars and programs that are going away through the summer. We have declining enrollment, so those problems are not fixed by this essentially balanced budget for this fiscal year, but they do allow for more time to assess those issues and start to address them. So big thank you to Mrs. Davis and the whole team for putting many items into this amendment, more than typical, I think. And that's what we have for us to approve tonight, in addition to the other things. Any questions?
All right, take a drink. That's a lot.
Good.
All right, thank you very much. Is there any discussion on any of the items that you heard tonight? All right, so then let's go for a roll call, please.
Okay, Dr. Rashad?
Yes.
Mrs. Lemaire?
Yes.
Mrs. Swart?
Yes.
Mrs. Vaughn?
Yes. Yes.
Dr. Paulson? Yes. Mrs. Trian, yes.
Thank you. All right, next up is an item that we did not put in the consent agenda because I didn't have an opportunity to have that addressed Assistance Plan, IRC Section 127 Plan. Ms. Denise, would you be care to explain that a little bit for everybody?
I would be happy to. So, in an effort to support retention of teachers, the state of Michigan created a grant opportunity that districts apply for, and the grant would provide $200 a month or the total of the student loan payment for a teacher to cover that cost of the student loan. The intent is that after about 10 years, so after 120 consecutive payments, some teachers who qualify can have their student loan forgiven. But until that time, some of our teachers have very high loan amounts that they're paying. So the state would support that up to $200 a month. We're working, the HR office and the business office are working together on the details of how we can make that actually work. The 127 plan that you have in front of you, that the board would approve, will allow us to make those payments to teachers without them incurring tax. So it would be tax-free on the $200 a month rather than the teacher having to pay taxes on the money that they're receiving that is intended to pay their student loans. That's what we're asking you to approve tonight. It's a great opportunity for teachers. The district does have to apply on behalf of teachers. They can't do that on their own, but we're excited to provide that opportunity for them.
Thank you. It's my understanding that this is pretty similar to a program that they had for teachers that work in underserved areas, and they're now just expanding that to more teachers.
And this particular grant opportunity for Forest Hills, it's $200 a month. There are some districts that are in a high poverty area that qualify for $400 a month, but we would not. But at least it's 200, so happy to do that.
Is there $200 a month per teacher?
Yes, per teacher per month.
Do we
For
know
teachers who qualify.
for teachers who qualify? And do we know approximately how many teachers would qualify?
I think we've had about 30 teachers reach out with information. The district is responsible for looking at the information and certifying that the teachers are eligible, and then we turn those names into the state, and they would send us an amount once a year to cover the annual payments for teachers.
Will you remind us how are you eligible?
It's very complicated.
Okay.
You have to be in one of the student loan repayment plans that is eligible, and not all of them are. If you are in one of the student loan repayment plans that is eligible for forgiveness at 10 years, then you would qualify for this grant.
Of course. Does the money come out of our general budget then to pay the loans?
No.
And then it comes back to the grant, or?
No, the money actually, our understanding at this point is that the state would send us the money ahead of time, and then we essentially pay it out. So our initial thinking is that we would have the teacher turn in $10 each month, because it's supposed to be basically a reimbursement for what they've paid, and that way, the student loan payment amount sometimes changes in a year, and we don't want to overpay teachers, so if they show us what they paid, then we would reimburse them each month. That amount. Any other questions?
Thank you very much.
All right.
Could we please then have a motion to approve the educational assistance plan?
I will motion that we approve the educational assistance plan. Second.
All right, is there any further discussion on this one? Okay, Dr. Rashad?
Yes.
Mrs. Hammer? Yes. Mrs. Moore?
Yes.
Mrs. Funk? Yes. Mrs. Fennell?
Yes. Dr. Paulson? Yes.
Mrs. Ryan, yes. Okay, we are now up to informational items. As a reminder, if you would like to speak in public comment, cards are out on the desk right outside the door when you came in, and they are gonna get picked up. The superintendent's report, which is next after informational items.
Perfect. We have one resignation. Oh, thank you. We have one resignation, Elizabeth by Rosie Nelly, and she is a counselor, and she was split between Northern, Central, Middle, and Northern, Middle, and Central. So, she's submitted her resignation.
Now, on to the superintendent report.
Yep. I want to thank the operations department, the administration, and the staff. The 6 buildings that were severely impacted by the water issue started working on that around 4 o'clock yesterday afternoon with the Grand Rapids, water power company, the main break that happened and impacted 6 of the northern side of our district. And, so it wasn't until about 10 o'clock last night that we were assured that everything was gonna be operational. Unfortunately, we still have to we're under a boiled water advisory, but everything went smoothly. We held school, we had water bottles there for everyone that needed it. Everything functioned, you just couldn't drink the water. So we're still under that advisory tomorrow, but we're operational and ready to go. I want to thank the staff. Our administration building, as Dr. Shad mentioned, we will be moving the first week of April, and so we're extremely excited about that. And we're excited to move into this facility right over here. And so officially, the administration building will be closed that week, just because we'll be in between movers and staff and unpacking. And it is officially spring break, so a lot of staff will be on spring break, but the ones that aren't will be renewed. And then yesterday, or Friday, we actually we applied for an award. We got an invitation from Williams and Company, and they were gonna select 25 programs around the state and offer them $1,000. So we submitted a couple programs that we thought were worthy of being awarded $1,000. We got recognition, and notice that Northern High School, Northern Middle School, Special Olympics, Unified Basketball Team will be awarded $1,000 grant. And so they'll be here next month to issue that. We were really excited. Something special to celebrate.
Okay, next up, board communications. Does anyone have any board communications tonight?
We do. Our next Equity Community Council is on next week, Tuesday, and it will be an open meeting for parents that want to come in. There are limited seating available, so in this week's newsletter from your schools, you will get that announcement to sign up for that if you would like. It is a PBIS information session for parents, which doesn't directly correlate with our DEI initiatives that Tamasha leads, but Tamasha also leads PBIS, and our Equity Community Council felt that a lot of parents have questions about PBIS that we could answer during our meeting. So keep an eye out for that.
Thank you. Does anybody else have?
Well, first of all, I just wanted, Dave's not here, but I wanted to really commend Dave and the process that we've all been through with the superintendent search, very smooth, and really enjoyed and appreciate everybody who was willing to show a couple of our candidates around, and it was really quite welcoming to see our school kind of come out and pull together, and students getting excited. Of course, they asked if he was gonna be, both of them, if they were gonna be in charge of snow day, so, you know, pass the baton on, right?
Number one question.
Right, and I kind of just want to throw out there, I really liked the process that we went through of hearing feedback from the community and hearing back from, our team members at the school about the candidates and the process and things in the feedback, so that we have some more tools and information for us to, as we go through the process this week of deciding who we would like to invite back. And during that process, I think, and this is just to throw it out there, but the public comment that came to us before that we had a chance to really kind of walk through everything, I was very appreciative of that, to hear feedback from everybody. And so something maybe for the future, I wouldn't mind, seeing the agenda, something for us to talk about the board would be maybe to add public comment for our meetings here when we have something special come up, or, such as, like, we've had things, Odyssey of the Mind, it would have been nice to hear from parents beforehand, before we get a chance to talk about that decision. The cell tower, I know, has kind of been, back and forth, and nice to hear, and I know, I love hearing the comments ahead of time too, we get the information, but like, just before we vote on a major issue, just kind of something to throw out there that, I know sometimes it might be two public comment times, but one might be more, geared towards the actual subject matter that we're voting on, that's a little bit more,
the community budget guide, a quick update. We've been hearing about that as well. That's coming along swimmingly. It's near completion. It is a monumental task to do this for the very first time. And again, this is coming out of Mrs. Davis' office, so just a couple of things happening in there on any given day. But the real challenge and the reason that I'm excited for this to come out, it's not just collecting all of this different data and assembling it in a way that makes sense, but also doing a little translating work as well to try to put some of this in layman's terms so that it can truly be educational, to the people who are reading it who don't do school of finance, as a job or every day. So excited for that to come out. I would say take as much time as we need because I think it's going to be really good when it's here, and that's something we'll be able to build on every year after that. And then just a quick word from the foundation, because the grant cycle for the spring has ended. 51 applications, as Mr. Hager was alluding to, over $130,000 awarded this cycle, which takes the year-to-date total, or the fall, spring, to $177,000 awarded overall. Things going straight back into classrooms and to our staff. So very cool, and those checks are being delivered, I think, throughout the district this week and next. So that's exciting. And just one plug, there's multiple open seats on the board of trustees for the foundation. If anybody listening is curious to volunteer in that capacity, you can find information on the website. That's it.
Anything else? All right, I just wanted to say also one last thank you to everybody for all of their hard work during this superintendent search that we are going through. Special thanks to all of the staff at Nat Forest, Goodwillie Environmental School, Central Middle School, and Northern High School for hosting our candidates as they came through, and teachers that were opened up their classrooms and let everybody come in and serve them for a couple of minutes. I think it was very valuable for everybody, and we all had a good time. All right, we are now up to public comments.